Annie McCarrick literally vanished on a March evening, just like any other March evening, and has not been seen or heard of since.
The disappearance of Annie McCarrick is a defining crime of the 1990s. In terms of Annie McCarrick's disappearance, given all the factors, that she was an only child, that she came to Ireland to make Ireland her home, that she was trusting, that she loved everything about Ireland, and not in a twee way.
What's most unusual about this disappearance is the complete lack of motive by anyone involved in the social group of this very popular American student, and the fact that she could simply go for a walk and never come back. Annie McCarrick was just 19 when she first arrived in Ireland. Her family had roots in the country, and it had been her dream to study there. She valued her connections with Ireland. Her father, John, a former New York police detective, had nurtured this in his daughter, and Annie had been keen to study in Ireland since her early teens.
She went over and she went to St. Patrick's, the Teachers College, but she switched from there to Maynooth, and she just loved it. Just loved it. She came home every summer and for Christmas, and we would go over 2 or 3 times a year. She's the one that pulled all the roots out. Went and saw my wife's relatives, my relatives, and she established this huge network. And by the time my wife and I got over there, I felt that we were going back home, a really strange feeling. Every day I would drive her to school, and she would tell me how she couldn't wait to get away from here and get a new life, and she was tired and bored of it.
Her great-grandfather and grandmother came from Ireland originally, and on her dad's side there was great links with Ireland as well, and she just seemed to love that. She loved being part of Irish culture and heritage, and she really felt part of it.
She arrived back in Dublin, having previously been in the country for 3 years, completing a degree in Irish literature at Maynooth University, just south of Dublin. At Maynooth, she'd made plenty of friends and had been a popular student. Here is where she found a small apartment to live. It's in the quiet South Dublin suburb of Sandymount. By late spring, Annie had settled back into life in Ireland, and although things appeared to have been going well, tensions had built up between herself and her father, who'd wanted her to return back to the United States. In fact, it's clear that John McCarrick had never wanted her to come to Ireland in the first place.
I was very upset at this, very upset. I guess it was one of the biggest family crises we've had. She wanted to go back to Ireland, and I was dead set against it. I thought she should get on with her life.
He couldn't even go to the airport when Annie left New York, went to JFK Airport to come back to Dublin. It was her mother who went to the airport. Her dad, John, just couldn't face the airport goodbye, so he said goodbye at the family home in Bayport. And both John and Nancy missed her greatly.
You know, I thought she was at a high educational level and had time enough to do the flitting about that she loved to do. But off she went.
The day of Annie's disappearance, a Friday, her roommate Jill Toomey left for work at about 10 to 9. It was the last time she would ever see her friend. About 2 hours later, Annie went to the Quinsworth supermarket store just up there on the right, now since rebranded as a Tesco's. Annie bought a couple of bags of shopping from the supermarket, which is just a few hundred yards from her apartment. She also went to this branch of AIB here on the corner, where we know she was caught on CCTV, and spent some time switching her account from another branch elsewhere in the city.
So she goes to the AIB. That is the last footage of Annie McCarrick. Those images of her standing in the queue to go up to the counter and just make an arrangement to change the bank branch from Clondalkin to Sandymount.
We also know she made a number of phone calls from this phone booth here in Sandymount Green.
She rang a friend, Anne, to ask her would she like to go for a walk that afternoon, and Anne said no, she had hurt her ankle and she couldn't make it. So that's where we know that Annie had a plan, an intention to go walking, and that she had said she was going to go as far as the Dublin mountains.
So there was nothing to indicate anywhere along the line that perhaps she might do some harm to herself or that she was troubled in any way, because she had made future plans.
So what were her plans for that day? Because in those plans must lie some clue to her disappearance.
She was alone that day, and her family were back in the States. Her mum was going to come the following Friday. She was off work that day. She had said she might call in and collect her wages that she hadn't been able to collect the previous day, but she didn't do it. Everything about that day was kind of normal. There was nothing to indicate any particular special arrangement that she had for that day, any private meeting that she might have had, maybe that night with anybody. There's no trace of anything like that, no plan, no note in a diary, no phone call that we know she made in any way like that. We know she had plans for the following day for two friends to come around for dinner. So perhaps that she was looking forward to the weekend, and that Friday, although it was her birthday, was maybe a down day for her, that there was nothing else going on, and she was more maybe looking ahead to the weekend and then the following week when her mum was going to come over.
By 3 o'clock, she was back here at her apartment, but she left nearly as soon as she arrived, leaving her shopping in the bags.
Who knows what was going through her mind? I mean, perhaps we all do things like that we stick a bag on the ground and say, I must sort that out in a few minutes, and then something else distracts you.
Then witnesses saw her get the 44 bus, which was bound for Enniskerry, in the foothills of the Wicklow Mountains, just outside Dublin. There was a trigger point for her to leave in a hurry, her perishables on the table. And that seems to me, that trigger point must have pointed to some rendezvous. I mean, what stands out for you in that event?
Exactly what you said. In fact, there was perishables. It should have gone in the fridge. It struck me she wanted to make that bus, and I understand that bus runs, I think it's every hour, but she certainly wanted to make that bus, and that was enough for her to leave the house very quickly. Everything that I've read about this case, all the research I've done, suggests to me that she was meeting someone that day and that she hadn't gone there by chance just to walk alone. Everything points to the fact she had a rendezvous with somebody that she was going to meet.
She did try and get a friend to go with her, and she made a phone call and the friend said she wasn't available. So, you know, at that point, did she ring somebody else? Did she... She was in a rush. She wouldn't leave the shopping. It takes you 2 minutes to put it away in the fridge. So she was running for the bus. It was 3 o'clock. You know, at that point of the day, I think it's a strange place to go anyway. It's far away, it's up the mountains, like when she has the beach there beside her. I
agree, it's almost as if that was the journey she wanted to make. Now, yes, it could have been that she wanted to walk in those beautiful mountains, but it also suggested to me that she was going somewhere to meet someone.
So why did Annie go to Enniskerry? Could it have been as innocent as a late-night walk? Whatever the reason, she was never seen again.